Thank you. It's great that you're all here. Thank you very much for joining us today for the first community roundtable convened by the Climate Economy Action Center of Addison County. I'm Steve Meyer, chair of the SEAC board. We formed SEAC as a nonprofit a couple of years ago with the goal of helping to create a truly sustainable local economy in Addison County, while also achieving substantial reductions in local greenhouse gas emissions. One of our major projects involved a county-wide greenhouse gas emissions inventory, which you can access on our website, seac.org. I think one of our team folks will be putting stuff in our web links in the chat box as we go. Among other projects, we also co-created, along with the Acorn Energy Co-op, an online climate and renewable energy resource guide called Live Green Vermont. So hopefully you'll also see a link to that coming up in the chat box. We believe that many local residents and groups want to work effectively to address climate change, and that with so many groups working on various aspects of the issue, we could all work better together. That begins with learning more about each other's activities. So today's roundtable is designed to listen and learn, both for the presenters and for the many people listening in from around the county. We'll be hearing brief presentations today from many folks working on climate change in Addison County. Speakers represent, among other things, agriculture, alternative energy companies, education, government, and a number of local nonprofits. Our goals for today include learning more about everyone's work, identifying gaps in our work, and discussing next steps and potential collaborations, including your interest in future roundtables and in collaborating on a climate action plan for Addison County. First, some housekeeping items. We're recording the call, so know that, but also please let us know if you would like to share it with others. We'll be sending the link out, but you could also contact us. Please take a minute, as we said before, please take a minute, if you haven't done so already, to type your name and organization into the chat box so that we can have a record of everyone who's here. Everyone has been muted, and we will unmute speakers one or two at a time according to the schedule and as time may allow during the Q&A session toward the end. Richard from our team will be timekeeping and giving a heads up to speakers when they have 1 minute remaining. And we'll have a 5-minute break about halfway through, so you can know that's coming. Today's agenda is a challenging one in terms of time, and there won't be enough time to hear from everyone. So we have done a number of things, and we'll be doing a number of things. First, we welcome comments and questions in the chat box as the roundtable proceeds, and we will save the chat box at the end. Diane from our team will be monitoring the chat box and aggregating comments and questions that may be similar and help us organize that effectively at the end. We'll post a link in the chat to a Google form, and we'll also send that link out afterwards to all of you for whom we have emails. And you can use that Google form to tell us about your work and your interests and to send us comments and questions. We also invite you to join an email listserv to facilitate ongoing sharing and discussion. And of course, you won't be surprised to hear that we plan to schedule future roundtables like this, perhaps once a quarter or so. We've asked the presenters to keep their remarks to a maximum of 5 minutes. That'll leave us about 20 or 30 minutes for questions and discussion at the end. Again, please put any comments or questions you have in the chat box. Okay. I believe, yes, we have President Patton has joined us. I believe I saw her name go by. Are we getting a nod? Yes. Lori, are you here? We need to invite her to unmute herself. Richard or whoever finds her first. Anybody? Richard, have you, or Diane, have you, did she come and
Hi, can you
go?
hear me now?
Oh, there
I
she
just did
is.
it.
Hi,
Hey.
welcome, President Patton.
Hi, thanks so much. I will take literally 2 minutes because I know how packed the agenda is, but I just wanted to take the time to say it's fantastic to see everyone here. And I really wanted to send the college's support. You'll be hearing from our college students and sustainability lab folks and Jack Byrne a little bit later on. I'll be there for that. But the main thing is I'm really wanting to lend the college's support to this in whatever way we can, whether that's student research, faculty research, staff research, any kind of activities that you need people power for. And I'm really looking forward to a broad and long-term collaboration. One of my dreams is a climate action plan that could be embraced by both town and college together, and would love to help push that forward in any way that we could. That's all I'll say for now, except to register my high enthusiasm and deep gratitude for all of you and the work that you're doing. I'm so proud to be a citizen of this county. Thanks very much.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you, President Patton. I'm going to hand it over to Spence at this point, who's going to, who I think will introduce our guests from Iceland.
Richard. Okay, good. I was muted, a bad place to be. So thanks, Steve. And I'm really pleased to welcome our special guest from Iceland, Gudmundur Sigurdarsson. He's from Akureyri, a city of 18,000 in northern Iceland. And he is a leader in that city's effort to become carbon neutral. His organization, Vistorka, has made great progress toward that goal. Vistorka is an inspiration to us and an example of the role SEAC aspires to play in our area. There are many similarities between Akureyri and Addison County, but a major difference is that their parent organization and many of the organizations they work with are public or governmental. In Addison County, most of our organizations are non-governmental or even volunteered. So let's listen to Gudmundur's story. Gudmundur, go ahead and welcome.
Hello, and thank you very much. It's an honor to be here. And thank you for inviting me. And again, it's great to see Spencer and Fran again. It was a pleasure meeting them here in Akureyri. And our little town, like, we're standing on the shoulders of previous energy transitions with the geothermal and the hydropower. So we've already been through that. So we're introducing a lot of smaller initiatives, smaller projects. For example, for the last 10 years, the local bus has been free of charge. It's 4 of the 6 buses are now running on the local methane from the old landfill side. As you know, we don't only produce heat for the homes with from the volcanoes, we also produce electricity. So when we are here with, when we're talking to the people visiting us and with their electric car, maybe, we talk about plugging into the volcano to charge the car. And so we've been very lucky with policymakers, so to speak. Iceland standing on the, like I've said, we've already been through these energy transitions with the previous ones. And we jumped on board on the Paris Agreement, and so we have the kind of the backup we need, the people working in the field. So we have the political backup we need to start new projects. We are now collecting, for example, all the cooking oil from the restaurants. We've introduced a collection system for the homes as well. We handed out like small funnels that you put on like Coke bottles, and we call it the green funnel, so people can collect the cooking waste oil. and we produce biodiesel. And that's actually used on the local trawlers here by the fishing company here in town. So we have a lot of small programs that kind of link all this together. And our goal of Vistorka, we always say that our goal is to make sure that the people living here in Akureyri, they have all the opportunity to live as environmental friendly lifestyle as possible. So they don't have any excuses. So they don't come to us and say, oh, we cannot charge the car. Oh yeah, we have 3 fast charging stations and we have a lot of 22 kilowatt stations around the city. It's so difficult. What do we have to do with cooking oil? We have already a program for that. So that's our goal, is to make sure that people don't have any excuses to participate. One project I would like to mention, because because I'm talking to people in America, it's we have a small island that is part of Akureyri. It's called Grímsey, and it's to the north of Iceland. And we are working with the embassy of US located in Reykjavik, and we have visited Alaska because we have the island is not connected to the main grid of Iceland. So today it's actually running on diesel. We have tested biodiesel there, and we're now starting to go through the energy transition there. We are installing 2 windmills this summer of 6 kilowatt, and also some small solar panels. So I just wanted to tell you that it's a lot of things are happening here, and we have unfortunately a lot of our things are not in English, but we have websites. We have Vistorka on our YouTube channel, and we have visitakureyri.com. So and you're more than welcome to contact me. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Gudmundur, and it's good to see you here. You brought some weather with you, I think. Steve, I think we're ready to move on to the rest of the program. Thanks.
Thank you, Spence, and thank you, Gudmundur. Next, we're going to jump right into our speakers next, and just a brief introduction for those of you that have not completely consumed the greenhouse gas inventory that we published last fall. We identified as part of that that inventory basically 3 main areas that where we produce more greenhouse gases in Addison County than in other sectors. Those 3 being the agricultural sector, the transportation sector, and the heating, building heat and cooling sector, if you think of it that way. And so we've invited speakers here today, and we'll be working over time in all of those sectors. And so first up today for us is John Roberts from the Champlain Valley Farmers Coalition. Welcome, John.
Okay, welcome. Thank you very much. Very quickly, since I've only got 5 minutes, I'm the executive director of a farmer advocacy group in Addison County, 100 farmer members plus 40 plus businesses. So, and our major agricultural commodity product is dairy farming. We're one of the 3 most dairy-centric counties in the state. So dairy farmers participate nationally in the Dairy Innovation Center, a national organization financed through the Milk Checkoff, which every dairy farmer pays. Goals of this center and for dairy farming are to be carbon neutral by 2050 or sooner, utilizing science and technology, optimizing water use, and improving water quality. In the last decade, there has been a ramped up attention to water quality. Many of the better water quality practices have large carbon benefits, including increased use of cover cropping, reduction or elimination of tillage, which saves fossil fuel. In the county, we have in excess of 5,000 acres of cover cropping, 3,000 acres of no-till farming, over 3,000 acres of direct manure injection, and 5,000 acres of conservation tillage. All have carbon or methane reduction benefits. The buzz phrase in farming right now is soil health. The indications are that improving soil health has significant carbon sequestration benefits, as well as crop health and livestock health. Work needs to be done on understanding the benefits and exactly what is entailed. It is not just raising organic matter content, but also the soil microorganisms and exactly which ones and how to measure them. Improved rotational grazing practices leading to more carbon sequestration, better utilization, and improvements in overall forage cover and photosynthesis. Improvements in technology, whether it's helping to manage tillage, planting, mowing, for example, in the fields, in the barn, assessing cows' health, digestion, and reproduction through technology, all utilizing resources better and improving the welfare of the livestock. Again, improved soil health, particularly organic matter, does sequester carbon, stabilizes soil, and leads to better water infiltration and storage. Better animal breeding and genetics, making cows far more efficient and productive, or sheep or goats, while reducing their carbon footprint. We have approximately half the number of cows we used to have, producing more than the same amount of milk. For example, it would take 25 cows in India to produce what a Vermont cow produces. Methane digesters can utilize the manure to produce energy. We have a number in the county now, and though they are quite expensive, the technology is improving to reduce cost and improve yield. A lot of research is going on into feeding livestock, whether dairy or other types, and to reduce their enteric emissions and make their conversion rates much more efficient, including but not limited to feeding certain types of seaweed and biochar are being researched, and research is ongoing, but none of this research has reached any sort of level where it can be really used on the farm.
1 more minute, John.
Thank you. An important area of research, particularly at UC Davis and Oxford University in Great Britain, is focused on understanding the role of methane production by ruminants and its place in the carbon cycle. Farmers have an understanding of their responsibility to the environment better than ever. They live it every day and know that improving their soil, their livestock welfare, and management all have direct positive benefits to the environment. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John.
There goes my timer.
Next up is Robert Foster, longtime dairy farm owner here in Middlebury. So Robert, please, I saw you there. Please unmute yourself. There you go.
There, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm a little bit at a disadvantage here because we lost our fiber line. So I'm trying to use a cell phone that has limited reception. So bear with me. I'm involved with the subject from a number of perspectives. One is a practitioner, and something that we've been trying to do here is close the loops as close to home and be good stewards of our soil and operate in a sustainable manner. So that from a practitioner's point of view, that I have that perspective. Also, I've been fortunate to be involved with the 2 organizations that John alluded to. One, the Innovation Center for Dairy, which has developed a framework and metrics, not completely. We're working on biodiversity right now for the whole supply chain on the dairy component of agriculture. Areas of focus are around sustainable nutrition, animal care. 80% of farmers have participated in the farm program, which is built around animal care, but also environmental care. John mentioned our net zero initiative, which is to be carbon neutral by 2050 at the latest, with periodic assessment towards that time frame. I've also been involved with the Soil Health Institute. It's a young organization. It's national in scope. It is providing research, education. I'm on the board of that particular organization and have been for 4 years now. Part of their initiative our initiative is to provide the research that's necessary to create better tools for measuring carbon and its interaction in the soil, and to communicate that with dairy farmers and farmers in general across the country. And I can get into more of that as people would like to. From an actual farming point of view, we've focused for 14 years, we've been doing cover cropping. And for the last 5, we've been doing no-till. And we found that it really has economic benefits. One of the things the Soil Health Institute is doing is trying to document partial budgets so that farmers can see what really happens over time if they follow practices that contribute to doing a better job of building their soil resiliency and so on. The more organic matter in the soil, the higher its infiltration rate or ability to absorb and infiltrate moisture, which we've seen actually occur on our own farm through the practices that we've been involved with. And we've tried a number of them, and it really, there's a whole toolbox that you can use to, depending on what conditions exist. Some springs are wet, some springs are dry. Sometimes it's late before we can get on and plant a crop. And that's where the no-till has really been a benefit to us.
1 more minute, Bob.
Okay. Our farm actually built an anaerobic digester back in 1982. We've developed the composting business, which is built around taking those nutrients that are in excess, both at the farm gate and the community level, and recycling those back into the community to improve our soils. And so I guess at that, I'll leave it. We've had quite a lot of experience in this arena, and I've been fortunate enough to be involved in some of the policy development.
Thank you, Robert. Yeah, yes, it's hard not to make additional comments, but we're going to keep going right through the agenda here as best we can. Next up is Todd Hasselbeck from Purpose Energy. Todd, let's invite you to unmute yourself.
Okay, it was not letting me unmute there for a moment.
There you go.
Good. I'm going to try to share a screen here if I can.
Go right ahead. Should work.
Okay, let me know if you're seeing that.
Yes, looks good.
Okay, so thanks first of all to the team for inviting Purpose Energy to participate today. Purpose Energy is developing a significant size project in Middlebury to convert wastewater and food waste into renewable energy. And this is something we've done in the past up in South Burlington. We have other projects going on around the country. So the first question is, why would we locate a project like this in Middlebury? And there's three real good reasons. The Middlebury Industrial Park has three major producers of organic wastewater, or wastewater with a lot of organics in it, and other food waste that come out of the production of beer, cider, and milk products. So we've teamed with Agrimark, Otter Creek Brewery, and Vermont Hard Cider to capture that organic waste that's coming out of their wastewater and other trucked waste, and converting it into renewable energy on site within the Middlebury Industrial Park. So what's that mean and why are we doing it? Well, today there are literally dozens of tankers a day hauling waste products from the byproducts of making cheese or beer or cider, most of which are hauled out to local farm pits. So farms such as Mr. Foster's farms and other farms that may have the ability to take outside waste for land application. But that's a costly process for the three big producers, and obviously trucking adds considerably to the cost of their production of product, adds traffic to the roads, and those trucks produce a fair amount of CO2 that goes into the atmosphere. There's also an issue coming up within Vermont. All of you who are involved with the dairy industry know that phosphorus runoff into the Lake Champlain watershed is a big issue. And that was one of the other issues we're trying to resolve here. So we're building a large anaerobic digester in the industrial park that will have the wastewater and all these organics waste piped by underground pipe, just kind of like a sewer system or a gas delivery system. Going to be piped to the digester, where it will be treated and converted to biogas. And that biogas will be burnt in an on-site generator to produce over 1 megawatt of renewable baseload power. So this is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, producing, providing we continue to get the feedstock that's committed, about 1,000 homes worth, 1,000 Vermont homes worth. And in addition, that generator produces a similar amount of thermal energy, which can be used for industrial processes, heating water, making steam, sanitation, any of those types of thermal uses. Once this is in place, the three local businesses will save thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars a year on trucking cost and disposal cost. And the whole process has vastly lower greenhouse gas emissions compared to the current practice. Because we're treating the water extensively before it's discharged to the Middlebury municipal wastewater treatment system, we actually are taking phosphorus and nitrogen out of that waste stream and putting it into a soil additive, a fertilizer, if you will, that's where the phosphorus and nitrogen is bound up into a plant soluble rather than a water soluble type of phosphorus. So it's great fertilizer, but doesn't run off into the lake when it rains. The whole process, we think, also makes
One more minute.
Industrial park more attractive to new businesses. That's just an aerial view. At the top is the town wastewater treatment plant. Our facility, the Middlebury Resource Recovery Center, is right next to that. And the three other locations that will be piping waste in are listed below. The plant is built with additional capacity to take outside waste from any other Vermont-based food or beverage producer, cheese, dairy, breweries, any type of food waste, and recycled food products from things like University of Vermont, Middlebury College. All of that can be taken, but of course, we're not accepting any manure or septic waste. This is purely organic food waste. So we'd just like to wrap up. It's a net energy positive solution for turning what is currently waste products into very highly valuable energy and removing that waste stream from the roads. Pipes, not trucks, really helps on the local traffic issue and environmental impact. And the reduced phosphorus loads to the lake is another big plus. So anyone who's interested in learning how to send additional waste to that plant, our details are at the end of this. So with that, Steve, I'll hand back to you.
Great, thank you, Todd. Next up is Billy Connolly from Vanguard Renewables. Let's see, Billy. No, I think you should be, there you go.
Hi there, I believe I'm unmuted now.
Yes.
And I'm choosing to share my screen.
There you
Hopefully
go.
You can see it.
Looking good, thank you.
Okay, terrific. So thank you very much for hosting this and having me join you. My name is Billy Connolly. I'm with Vanguard Renewables. I know a lot of you folks on this call already. It's good to see some familiar faces. Laura, Rich, Jack, John Roberts, great to see you. Robert, Fred, good to see all you folks. So Vanguard has the new project that a lot of you have already heard about here in Salisbury at the Goodrich Family Farm. A little bit about us. Vanguard is committed to decarbonizing our food and energy systems, and using renewable natural gas is a critical component to helping us get to decarbonizing. We are helping to reduce phosphorus in our soils and the watershed. We are committed to regenerative agriculture and being part of closing the loop on the virtuous cycle of farm to plate and back to farm. We rely heavily on partnerships with organizations, businesses, institutions, including Vermont Gas and Middlebury College. And we welcome the opportunity to continue developing partnerships with food waste producers throughout the state. So we know that we have this immense, intractable problem that we can't ignore, and we are moving forward, pushing ourselves, our teams, and our partners so that others will be inspired to follow us. We are immersed in this community. I've been here for 15 years. Here in this photo, you see our operations engineer, Lance. He is a product of Vermont Tech. He's a VTC grad, and very happy to be back in Vermont running the Goodrich Farm project. Here's a little bit about the Goodrich Farm project. The brother and sister here, Chase and Danielle, are our partners. They receive a lot of additional benefits by hosting this project. They have lease payments they receive. They get the digestate, which is nutrition-rich, holistic digestate for farm application. They get heat and electricity from an 800 megawatt generator. And again, they are part of the regenerative agricultural solution, hosting the first phosphorus reduction system in Vermont and one of only 3 in the US. This is a basic diagram of how the system works. We have our food waste partners, and we have the farm partner generating manure from 900 head of dairy cows. The material gets hauled to our anaerobic digester, where it gets dumped into a 264,000 gallon hydrolyzer, sits in there for about 5 to 27 days, and then it gets pumped into the anaerobic digester, where the methanogens do their work and create additional gas that is then moved on to a gas upgrader system that refines the gas and puts it into a Vermont gas pipeline to be distributed to partners, including Middlebury College and other Vermont gas partners. This is a basic labeled diagram showing you the key components of one of our other projects down in Massachusetts. And then in the bottom left, the picture and aerial view of the Goodrich Farm digester, which has already been constructed and is already generating environmental and social benefits. This is what we're most jazzed about, is the carbon intensity and the carbon reductions that this project is generating by producing natural gas, renewable natural gas from dairy farm and food waste co-digestion. We are having a significant impact on offsetting the carbon that otherwise would be pumped into the atmosphere. And the result of a project like this has garnered attention and interest and commitments from our new Farm Powered Strategic Alliance, which we announced in December. Unilever, Dairy Farmers of America, and Starbucks have all committed to bring food waste to our digesters, as well as purchase the renewable natural gas that'll be generated as a byproduct of these projects.
1 minute left.
You got it. We've generated significant media coverage and interest from other food waste producers. I can't tell you who those folks are just yet, but we do hope to be talking about their contribution to the circular economy and completing the virtuous cycle of farm to plate and back to farm. One quick note, the article in the top right-hand corner talks about our organics recycling facility, which is a depackaging facility we opened near Springfield, Mass. In October, which removes food waste from already packaged material, kegs, canned beer, things like that, so we can extract the value. And if you would like to get in touch with me, I'm right here in Middlebury, and I hope to connect with you soon. And thank you again for your commitment.
Thank you, Billy. Excellent. Thank you so much. As many of you know, we in this part of the state have one of the most progressive and innovative electric utilities in the country. And from Green Mountain Power, we have Freeman Corey, who's going to...
We need to get the previous speaker to unshare his screen.
Oh, I am sorry.
yeah, I'm sorry. I can do that too. Yeah. Freeman, let's see. We need to invite you to unmute yourself. There, now you should be able to unmute yourself, Freeman. No, you still need to. There you go.
I think we're all set now. Well, thank you very much for asking me to be today. It's great to, as an Addison County resident for 20 years, it's great to see this happening, and it's great to see our agricultural folks involved in this as well, as I grew up on probably one of the last generations to actually grow up on a dairy farm. So we definitely do have a changing natural environment. We have a changing social environment. Really how people think about energy, how people consume energy, the concept of actually managing energy, and how people then choose to want to spend their energy dollars. And I think to start with this, we have to look at the success that Vermont has, quite notable in the sense of being one of the lowest capita consumption rates in the country. But with that said, we're also looking at, as Steve had alluded to before, some real challenges on the residential side and on the transportation side, where I believe it's right around in the 70% range of energy is used for those two items, and that's pretty consistent throughout Vermont, and not just certainly Addison County. From a GNP side of things, we're always looking to add incentives to our residential program. More products are becoming available all the time, and we're trying to keep on top of that. And as there's value for our customers, we're trying to get those products available. On the transportation side, I was hoping that I would be able to get a show of hands here, but I guess there's more than one page of people. Like how many people actually have electric vehicles, and how many people would like electric vehicles, and the challenge that we have over the mileage situation. as everyone in Vermont, we're trying to be inclusive here. It's rural and we have to travel. So how do we get around that? And we get around that by increasing the number of charging stations and having accessibility for everyone to be able to first own a electric vehicle, but be able to charge it and use it and do so in a practical manner. And from a residential side, we've been successful in terms of helping with the electric vehicle by providing electric chargers free of charge to people that purchase electric vehicles. On the business side of things, we've had a rebate for business owners to install chargers, but there's also a huge cost in doing that. So we've actually just rolled out a workplace charger program where people will be able to finance that through a low interest loan through Vita and still receive an incentive for doing that and be able to put that on their G&P bill if they so choose to. So just providing another avenue. There's also another program coming along that's going to be assisting multifamily situations where there are multifamilies that want to have chargers, and where that's been a little bit of a difficult thing to work through, but that is coming, and you'll probably be hearing about that in a day or two.
One more minute, Freeman.
Oh, okay. Battery storage is the next piece. And from that, you're going to be hearing more about vehicle to grid as more commercial and electric vehicles come along, where we can potentially look at using those batteries from a vehicle as battery storage. Since I work more with commercial folks, we do have a huge variety of businesses. We have also products incentivized for businesses, but we also do a custom approach as well for those businesses that can have a solution for reducing carbon, either through building heating, process heating, transportation, generators, and such. So as we move ahead, we'll continue to look for opportunities to help our customers and to reduce carbon and make Addison County better and make our state better. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Freeman. So next we have three different speakers from Middlebury College, and I don't know whether President Patton wants to jump back in at this point or we'll hand it over to Jack Byrne. You folks can. Yes, Lori, did you want to?
Hi, yeah, I think we can just hand it straight over to Jack since I was able to
Okay.
talk a little bit at the beginning. Let's just give the time to them.
Great. Let's see, Jack, you just need to find you to ask you to unmute since you shared your screen. There you are. All right, you should be able to unmute yourself now, Jack. You still need to unmute. Jack, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Steve, they asked to unmute.
There we go.
you
There we go. Sorry about that. I had a little problem with my cursor and now with my screen. So hi, everyone. It's great to be here. You can see my screen okay?
Yes.
Great. So thank you for putting this together. I really wanted to start by saying that when we started Energy 2028, leading up to it, one of the criteria that we talked about is that as we went about doing this ambitious initiative, we should do it as transparent and accessible way as possible. And so I'm really appreciative. We're really appreciative of SEAC putting this roundtable on. And I want to just echo Lori that any way that we can help move energy, carbon neutrality, and do that in a way that is more just and more equitable, we'd be more than happy to collaborate in those ways. Just a quick background piece. The college achieved carbon neutrality in 2016. Lori challenged us to define what the next big thing Middlebury should be doing to address the climate crisis. Energy 2028 is our response to that. 4 components: reduce our consumption by 25%, move to 100% renewable energy sources, divest the endowment of fossil fuels, and integrate all of that into the way we do our teaching, learning, research, outreach, and so on. Go on to the next slide.
Jack, the truth is we can see about 3/4 of your screen. We can't, for some reason, see the entire slide, but we see most of it. I don't know if you can.
Sorry about that.
Expand your, there you go.
Got it. Got it.
All right. So
that's better. Yeah.
Good. Okay. Just a quick update on where we are with respect to some of these goals. 100% renewables. Many of you know we switched to biomass in 2009. That's a renewable fuel. When we can't heat the campus entirely with biomass, we switch to natural gas. That will soon be displaced by the renewable natural gas that Billy talked about with our partnership with Vanguard, Goodrich, and Vermont Gas Systems. We expect to see that gas sometime in this year. We're in the process of a permit for a 5-megawatt solar system on South Street Extension that we hope to see producing power sometime later this year. That would cover about 30% of our electricity. And we've been fortunate, all of us have been fortunate to be, most of us, I should say, to be Green Mountain Power customers who are moving aggressively toward 100% renewable and lower no carbon electricity by 2030. We are currently at about an 8% reduction in energy consumption from our 2018 baseline. Much of that as a result of efficiency projects we've done, and that's been a regular feature of the college maintenance of its buildings and other facilities over the years. I think there's probably a lot that we could share about some of those projects for people who'd be interested in doing a tour or spending some time.
One more minute, Jack.
Thank you. There's some things that we're doing to integrate this into our educational mission. I want to talk specifically about something we just recently did in conjunction with the town of Middlebury and the MIT Sustainable Design Lab, where we worked to create a building energy model of the entire town using a platform that MIT has put together to help with kind of policy development and program development around how do we reduce consumption across the town as a whole. And so that model looked at almost every building in the town and provides a way to do what if scenarios. What if we did heat pumps? What if we did this kind of insulation? I'll just mention too quickly, we have these things going on and they're available to others to learn from. Ways you can work with us. We have a Sustainability Solutions Lab. We have lots of internships through our Center for Careers and Internships. You're going to hear from Bill Vitek on the new perennial partnership. Diane Monroe's here to talk. She may talk about the 401 capstone project. Middlebury Environmental Studies majors do. Our Climate Action Capacity Project has fellows who may be looking for ways to extend what they're doing on campus to the town. And Earth Week 2028, we're going to have a series of events that we hope we will see many of you here having a role in. Thanks.
Great, great. Thanks so much, Jack. I'm about to hand it over to Bill, so you can be ready for that, Bill. And just before I do, if you haven't already done so, please put your name and any organization affiliation that you have in the chat box so we can have a record of who's been here today. Thank you. Go, Bill, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Yep, I'm now unmuted. I'm going to share a screen, I hope. Is that okay? People can see that?
Yes, we're good.
Great. So I'm reminded of Monty Python's line, now for something completely different. I'm an educator, a philosopher. I spent a career, 32 years, teaching philosophy and ethics to engineering students at Clarkson University in Potsdam, New York. Resigned that position in 2018 to run a project that's a multi-year funded project that looks at the role of agriculture and education together and how we might transform both of them to be more perennial and more diverse. And that project has taken me to Middlebury and Middlebury College. And the partnership is with Middlebury College and the folks at the Land Institute in Salina, Kansas. And now I'm trying to make my slide go to the next slide and it's not doing, oh, I see, okay. So very simply, our premise is the way we farm and the way we think are connected. On the left, we see sort of traditional agriculture and its surplus, but also the cost to the land and to people and to animals. On the right, a model based on using perennial plants in diverse mixtures, potentially replacing our annual crops grown in monocultures. And our project asks the question, what might the analogs be in education? So we ask what a perennial education might look like. Sorry about this, I keep not getting my slides to go next. The work is an inspiration from Wes Jackson, who I met in 1990. He wondered if we could grow food the way nature grows grasses in the prairie. And his work at the Land Institute was really focused for 40 years on developing what they call the new hardware perennial versions of the major crops, the grain crops, and they've made quite a bit of progress. This is now a pretty famous picture. On the left is wheat, and on the right is a intermediate wheatgrass called Kernza. And you can see over the course of 12 months, the annual wheat is planted, it grows, and then it dies. The perennial wheat stays in the ground, it sequesters carbon, and it's good for a number of years. And that work has grown quite a bit over the last 5 or 6 years. And it's becoming, it's being emulated around the world with other crops as well. But when Wes Jackson left his position in 1976 to start the Land Institute, he imagined it to be an alternative school. And in 2015, I helped him organize a conference at the Land Institute to come back to that notion of what does a perennial education look like? What does a new kind of educational model look like? In 2018, I brought that educational model, or the very beginnings of it, to Middlebury College. And with my colleagues, Mark Lappin and Nadine Cantor-Barnacle, we developed a course called the Perennial Turn in Ag and Culture. It, of course, is a traditional liberal arts class that looks at work in the humanities and the sciences. But really, the important part of our work is that it connects us to community partners, sorry about that, around the region. It's going berserk now, sorry about that, why isn't it doing that? We have now over 40 community partners that we've been partnering with our students, helping us learn the language of perenniality and to work together with us. And I can see from our gathering here that we have a number of folks on this call, including some of our students. Great to have you here. We also are trying to get some of the Land Institute's new varieties planted up at the knoll and working with students and faculty at the knoll and hopefully soon on college lands.
1 minute left, Bill.
Yeah. We're working with our students to produce teaching materials that we think are quite lovely and important, and you can find those on our newperennials.org website. We are also, I also created an online publishing platform with a book that you can download for free. Just out, we have a number of projects, books, teaching materials also in the works. We host conferences and gatherings, which we haven't been able to do in 2020, but we hope in next October to have a month-long gathering up in All Souls, one of our community partners, to celebrate what we call Perennial Harvest Month. So it's an educational project. We're just getting started, really, and we're looking forward to connecting with lots of partners and to put our wonderful Middlebury students into conversation with them. So thank you.
Great, great, great. Thank you, Bill. Okay, we have 2 more speakers before our break. Next up is Claire Contreras. She's with the Sunday Night Environmental Group, a student group at the college that many of you may have heard of, and they students involved with that group 15 years ago went on to form 350.org, and so that's just one of many projects the Sunday Night Environmental Group has done over the years. So welcome, Claire, and take it away.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm Claire Contreras. I'm a junior biology and environmental studies major at Middlebury College. And like Steve said, I'm a co-manager of Middlebury's Sunday Night Environmental Group. We're a climate and social justice activism student group at the college that focuses on community organizing, anti-racism, direct action, and mutual aid. As a collective, SNEG has hundreds of members, and we have a bunch of different campaigns running that can be related or unrelated to each other. In the past, our campaigns have included pushing the college to fully divest from fossil fuels, creating a sunrise movement hub in Middlebury, organizing climate strikes, and working with external campaigns like No Coal, No Gas, No Mas Polima, and other local and regional justice movements. This semester, we're hoping to get involved with the Abenaki-led campaign, the Atui Project, focus on food and migrant justice, and also get involved with local mutual aid groups like Food Not Bombs Burlington and the Giving Fridge right here in Middlebury. We also always have more to learn about the community that so many of us now call home, and we're always looking for ways to engage with our amazing community on climate justice issues. So please reach out to me if you'd like to collaborate on anything. I can put my email in the chat, and yeah, thanks for having me and for all the work everyone does. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much, Claire, and thank you for all the great work you all do there. Our last speaker before the break is Lindsay Fuentes George, who is on the select board in the town of Middlebury, and she's going to talk with us about a few of the initiatives that the town has been involved with around energy and climate issues. So welcome, Lindsay. You should be able to unmute now.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to try to share my screen.
There, that looks good.
Can everybody see that?
Yes.
Okay. So first, I just wanted to thank Howard Weedletts, who put this presentation together on behalf of the town. He's the chair of the Middlebury Energy Committee. And hold on, because I have to move. I can't see my slides. Oops. All right, well, at any rate, the town of Middlebury acknowledges the growing impact of climate change on our global and local communities, and has taken many steps to reduce greenhouse gas emissions from town operations. In terms of governance, a select board member holds a seat on the Town Energy Committee. Currently, that's me. In addition to that, the town provides a budget to the Energy Committee to focus on greenhouse gas reducing initiatives. That's a commitment that the town makes every year. And the select board just recently supported and signed a resolution calling for an 80% reduction of carbon dioxide from town operations over the next 10 years. Some past things that the town has done, the roundabout and cross street bridge projects were huge infrastructure projects that were focused on traffic easing. The town has purchased, last year we purchased our first police cruiser, but we are continuing to hopefully replace that fleet with energy efficient alternatives as long as those are able perform well, basically. And then the town has also installed an EV charging station for public use. In terms of building infrastructure, our town office is of course a net zero building, and our new town gym, the recreation building, is highly energy efficient. A number of buildings have been evaluated in terms of their energy use, including the library and the wastewater treatment plant and the teen center building, which is the old warming hut. And different initiatives have been implemented in each of those. And then we just finished up a project with the police department, weatherizing one particular portion of their main building, which was incredibly leaky. And then the town also currently owns 153 kilowatts of solar net metering. And we have switched all of our street lighting to energy efficient LEDs. Some things that are in the works, and these range from aspirational to things that are definitely happening at the current moment. The wastewater treatment plant is in need of upgrades. And of course, every time we upgrade aging equipment, we get more energy efficient, newer equipment. The police building has an aging HVAC system, and so we're in the process of talking about how best to replace that system, and heat pumps are an option for that set of buildings. The library has already undergone an evaluation for their heating system, which is also very old, and this was the first time that a heat pump only system was recommended as the best option, not an alternative, but here's what's going to be the most efficient and also the most cost efficient. So that was a nice thing to hear. And then this again is very aspirational. We are in the very early stages of talking about replacing our public works building, which is, we have outgrown. And so there's the opportunity for the town to focus on building another energy efficient building from the start rather than trying to retrofit after the fact. In terms of transportation, we continue to look at all of our vehicles and equipment, and as they reach the end of their useful life cycle, replacing them with something more efficient if it's available. And the town is also trialing a biodiesel mix in some of our public works equipment. It's a very small trial, but it's something that the Public Works Department supported. And so we're moving forward with that. And then finally, in terms of electricity, again, aspirational, looking at an anaerobic digester for the wastewater treatment plant as we look at upgrading that facility. And then something that's much more tangible in the more immediate future is adding kilowatts to our net metering to hit that 500 kilowatt limit that the town is capped at, unfortunately. And that's it.
Thank you so much, Lindsay. We'll take a 5-minute break. Laura Sermily is up next when we get back. So Laura, don't take too much of a break. And we'll get back here at 4:41. Thank you all. Stretch your legs a little. As we start to gather back, Diane was messaging me, and I had the same thought. So we hope that we'll have about 20 or 25 minutes for comments and questions before we finish at 5:30. So please start. If you have questions, either of SEAC folks or of any of our speakers, or I suppose anybody else you see on the call, please, even as you're muted, you could be posing those questions in the chat box, and Diane will be gathering those up, and in some cases, perhaps forwarding them on to me, and then we can field the questions, or we may also have the time and space to be able to invite folks to pose their own questions verbally. So please feel free to start doing that. Let's see. All right, so let's see, Laura. Laura, it looks like you could unmute yourself and take it away if you're ready. There you go.
Okay.
Welcome, Laura. Laura has a long history working with various transportation and alternative transportation groups in Addison County. And I think she's here today primarily to talk about the Addison County Walk Bike Council, but she may expand that somewhat. I don't know. Welcome, Laura.
Hi. So I don't know if you saw the number I was holding up earlier. It's backwards, I think, but this number, 46%, is what drives me. And as many of you know, that is our carbon footprint related to transportation, and transportation is a hard one to go after. And the Walk Bike Council of Addison County is just a piece of that. And I'm here to represent that county-wide organization. It meets every 6 to 8 weeks in Middlebury at the Planning Commission. And we're seeking to build momentum and capacity for safer walking and biking, because moving is good, it's healthy, and it reduces carbon footprint. And we are especially committed to this after fatal road bike accidents, including Middlebury's Kelly Bow in 2015, some of you will remember. So aware that transportation is the leading cause of carbon emissions in our state and towns, we're striving to calm traffic and support alternatives to single occupant car use. And our stakeholders, many of you are here, including ACTR, which is now Tri-Valley Transit busing, V-Trans, Go Vermont, Drive Electric, V-Bike Solutions, the Middlebury Area Land Trust, a lot of our state health offices, schools, local chambers of commerce, our law enforcers, Local Motion, based in Burlington, our bike shops, our energy committees. We use the Mid-Bike-Ped Google email list to post and coordinate our transportation projects. And our website, walkbikeaddison.org, to track our projects. Let's take a quick look at that website. So I'm going to share that screen. So here you can see the logo, you can see the mission, which I just explained, and you can see that the council is divided into working groups, and they are all coordinated on some important projects I want to take a quick look at. We have many, but one that you'll see down at the bottom is a reference to the 2020 Vermont Walk Bike Summit. It was supposed to come. Middlebury and Addison County had the honor of being selected to host this biannual summit in May 2020, but it got disrupted by COVID, and it's rescheduled for spring 2022. This is really important. We're poised here in Addison County and Middlebury to showcase ourselves as a leader in transportation transformation. That is our opportunity with this summit. You know, we're gathering at the Town Hall Theater. We're going to tour the recent downtown rail construction project. So much to show just with that, on which the council was consulted. We get to show the repaved busy Route 7 corridor, which is supposed to be paved this summer. And all our new sidewalks. And Middlebury has 18 miles of sidewalks, by the way, that it maintains, and a bunch of crosswalks and safe navigation across these crosswalks, which we can also showcase. We also hope to present the council's work on the Triangle Bike Loop. So the Triangle Bike Loop is one of the projects. And let me just get to that a second. Hold on. Here we go. So the Triangle Bike Loop is a mapping project, you know, where we're connecting our Addison County hubs of Bristol, Vergennes, and Middlebury via New Haven. So we knew that we had this opportunity because people are coming to Addison County for recreational biking. And we know that there's a desire for road commuting, safer road commuting between our hub towns. So we wanted to identify a loop for doing that.
Laura, 4 minutes are up.
Okay. And you can see here a map of the preliminary route options. You can go to this site and you can see what we're talking, and you could ride this now. And what we're doing as a council is really targeting these roads when they come up for repaving for the improvements that we think will make a big difference. Like better shoulders, like experimenting with advisory lanes. This is a different solution. You might have seen this up in Lincoln. And other traffic calming measures, which can be done through stenciling and signage. So that's a very exciting opportunity to show measures that towns could be taking in their villages to calm traffic and create better opportunities for walking. The other thing I wanted to mention is that we want to show how easy it is to commute along this route by e-bikes. So we're supporting a free e-bike loan program. We piloted this in 2019 and we're going to continue this going forward. So stay posted about that. And related to that, we'll be looking at bike parking because, as you know, we have new cargo bikes and e-bikes which have wider girth and need better parking. So the council is also available to consult on that to make sure that that works and is safe. You can visit the website to find out more about how to join the council. We have good representation from our hub towns, but we could use it from our western and northern towns. So if you're on the call today or you know somebody that would like to join the council, especially from those regions, please contact us to do that. Safe
Thank you.
hiking and walking.
Thank you so much, Laura. Next up is Sally Burrell. She's representing the Bristol Energy Committee, and Sally has also recently joined the SEAC board. So welcome, Sally.
Great, thanks. So great to hear all of what everyone's talking about. Laura, that was so exciting to hear about the walk and bike options. I'm going to talk about the Bristol Energy Committee's last couple of exciting projects. First of all, we're having such a good time working with Acorn Energy Co-op since last February on a community solar project for our capped landfill. Acorn's creative model involves all local partners to offer affordable ownership for residents, businesses, and nonprofits. And this is to help people who can't install solar at their homes or on their land or on the roofs because there's shade or for the roof is not the right angle, something like that. So we're just beginning to work with the public outreach right now, and construction is expected to begin in the spring. The thing about Acorn's projects are they really keep money circulating locally by using local contractors and local investors, and then create local renewable energy for people to buy and be on board with that ownership model, which gives them longer term savings. Now I want to talk about encouraging use of electric lawn care equipment. This is a new project that we're just looking into, and last week, Steve Wisbaum, who initiated Vermont's Mow Electric movement in 2016, and Jay Thomas, who operates Bear Mountain Mowing, the first electric lawn care business in Addison County, joined our last meeting for a lively discussion. And we really got excited about the possibilities for the shift from conventional mowers to electric. So as we know, mowers consume millions of gallons of fossil fuel annually in Vermont and also generate thousands of tons of greenhouse gases. And they're not even, you don't know whether they're under transportation or housing or, they're not really described anywhere. So they're just their own entity that aren't really discussed much. But considering the extent of lawn mowing in Addison County and all over Vermont, both private and public sectors, there's such a huge opportunity here to reduce emissions. And the main opportunity here is that when the tens of thousands of conventional mowers and chore tools in Vermont come to the end of their 3 to 10 year useful life, we can help make sure they're replaced with more responsible electric alternatives. The past decade has brought significant improvement in technology for electric equipment, making both performance and price competitive with their gas counterparts. This is mainly because costs of maintenance and operation for electric are much lower than for gas and diesel machines. There's already some momentum for this shift to occur with so many different brands and manufacturers, lots of advertising on the mainstream media, availability from big box stores and local independent dealers and online. And there are even incentives from our electric utilities. However, the shift is not really happening as fast as we like it to happen. There are still cultural barriers, and a grassroots neighbor to neighbor public education and outreach effort is what will be key, we're thinking. And people really need to see and experience the equipment and hear testimonies and feel that they can afford the switch. So I was talking with Steve Wisbaum about this, and we've identified 4 elements for an outreach plan.
1 more minute,
One
Sally.
would be to, okay, thanks. One is to create a regional video review platform, which would be online. Another is to facilitate neighbor-to-neighbor equipment demos and trials. That would be a directory to help consumers connect with other Vermonters who will let them come to their location and try out equipment. Another is, and the big one is, affordable models of shared ownership. A community of at least a dozen households is now sharing one high-end electric mower with success. They use an online scheduling tool. So if people were working together, maybe 2 people want to buy a mower together, they'd get 50% off on that mower. So this is something that we need to think about for sharing. We need to develop a Mo Electric website, and Stephen has already registered that domain name, moelectric.org, so he'd be happy to see that used for this purpose. We just heard that the Norwich Energy Committee and the Stowe Energy Committee are also interested in promoting electric mowing. I know that's not in Addison County, but in general, it seems like the time to move on this and really shift the culture. So if anyone's interested in being involved in this initiative in Addison County, please let SEAC know, or me or Steve Wisbaum. Thanks so much.
Great. Thank you, Sally.
Welcome.
Next up is Lindsay Burke from the Addison County Relocalization Network. Welcome, Lindsay. You should be able to unmute yourself now.
Thanks, Steve. Hi, everyone. I'm the Executive Director of ACORN, or the Addison County Relocalization Network. I'd like to thank the SEAC Board for inviting ACORN to be part of this discussion. ACORN's mission is to promote the growth and health of local food and agriculture in Vermont's Champlain Valley by providing support to our farmers and food producers, engaging in food education, and ensuring access to healthy food for all members of our community. Current ACORN initiatives that help connect our community to local farms include the Champlain Valley Guide to Local Farms and Food, the Tour de Farms Viking Farm event, the Pharmacy Food is Medicine program, and the brand new Eat Local Vermont app, which you should all download for free right now in the Apple app and Google Play stores. We are also tackling the topic of wholesale aggregation and distribution, which we see as key to increasing production of and access to local food in our community. But let's take a step back. Why this work? Why now? I personally got interested in this work because of the climate crisis. Not yet a crisis, it was still called climate change or global warming when I was traveling the global south in 2011 and witnessed in multiple small farming communities in different countries that the weather patterns were changing. Wet seasons were now dry seasons now saw flooding, new pests and pressures were wiping out crops, and once pristine water sources had become toxic from the Green Revolution's persisting legacy of agrochemical use. It didn't take an agronomist or a climate scientist to connect the dots. I was an advertising executive who had escaped my cubicle looking for adventure, and yet the effects of what I'd been warned about since my 4th grade weekly environment classes were unfolding before my eyes, in real time, affecting our global food supply. Over the next few years, as I immersed myself in the realities of the globalized food system, the house of cards began to topple. Each false reality of what I thought was true fell, becoming dominoes, causing a new reality to unfold before me. From environmental and racial justice issues that endanger Indigenous communities abroad, as well as urban communities here in the US, from public health issues that begin in our soil and travel through our bodies, I learned how our food system is not broken. It is working exactly as it was intended to. While Acorn was founded with the idea of creating a more resilient community in the face of a changing climate, we now recognize that local agriculture can also help stave off the worst of the climate crisis. We know that modern industrial agriculture is playing a major role in destabilizing our planet's operating systems, and we also know that a strong local food system comprised of well-managed small and medium farms is not only more resilient in the face of the climate crisis, it helps mitigate the crisis. These farms conserve fertile soil, protect water sources, and sequester carbon from the atmosphere. In the words of one of Australia's leading regenerative farmers and researchers, regenerative agriculture is the quickest and most efficient way of pulling carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere and storing long-lasting carbon in the soil, as well as also restoring proper water and nutrient cycling, biodiversity, and human health. Holistic grazing regimes, new cropping techniques, farmer-driven agroforestry, biodiverse plantings, and halting vegetative clearing have the potential to bury huge amounts of carbon for large periods, which will create positive feedback loops for our water cycles and help control the climate. To quote Wes Jackson, founder of the Land Institute and a leading figure in the international sustainable agriculture movement, "Since our break with nature came with agriculture, it seems fitting that the healing of culture begin with agriculture, fitting that agriculture take the lead." As Acorn is truly a network with no office and only one part-time staff member, our work is connecting with different groups from around the community. Future projects you may be interested in collaborating with us on are continuing to support our local producers with the formation of a farmer-led farmer climate network committed to mitigating the effect of climate change on our local food shed, or perhaps you can support a wholesale online market that can help solve our region's aggregation and distribution challenges. We would love to work with Middlebury College to source more local food. Folks can also support Acorn's local food and farm guide by placing an ad in the 2021 guide. We look forward to being part of this newly formed community and working together to build a more resilient future.
Thank you, Lindsay. All right, next up is Rich Carpenter from Acorn Energy Co-op. Rich, let's see, where did you go? You should be able to unmute yourself now. Okay.
Can I share the screen, please? Will that work?
Yes, it should work. Go
okay.
ahead.
Good. Hi, everyone. Nice to be part of this and great to see so many friendly faces that we've worked with in the past. I'd like to just give you a brief overview of the Acorn Renewable Energy Co-op and some of the projects that we have done in the past and are doing going forward. As many of you know, Acorn was a spin-off almost 13 years ago now from the Acorn Network, or Addison County Relocalization Network, that Lindsay just talked about. Our focus has been on assisting people with both renewable energy and energy efficiency projects, both in Addison and Rutland and Chittenden counties. We started out focusing on wood pellets and solar hot water, eventually got into residential solar and cold climate heat pumps, and now have completed 12 years of successful operations. We have about 1,000 people on our email distribution list, have over 80 members, It's a totally volunteer organization except for one part-time staff member. And we have a board of 9 volunteers with a variety of backgrounds. As has been mentioned before, we collaborated last spring with SEAC to form the Live Green Vermont website, which is a local directory and source of information that went live in September. I'm happy to say we have over 150 listings now, 20 sponsors. We provide free listings to anyone who supports our overall mission of making information available that helps people deal with climate change. Featured listings at a modest additional cost, and we're introducing a variety of blogs on green topics with periodic email updates too.
Rich, are you still with us? We're not hearing you. Anybody see Rich?
Making public offerings to residents of Vermont, we shifted to a truly community solar type of project with 2 types of investors. The Series A, who have a tax appetite, and Series who are residents of Vermont who can take advantage of the credits that come from such projects. And we have completed one project in that vein in Shoreham, which went operational just about a year ago. And as Sally mentioned, we're working on a second major project in Bristol on the landfill. It'll be about 3 times the size of the Shoreham project. And we're preparing or have prepared offering documents which are being reviewed by the Department of Financial Regulation. As soon as we have their okay, we'll go public and be looking for potential investors, probably between 100 and 150 so-called Series B investors who can take advantage of the credits on their Green Mountain Power electric bills. And our goal is to continue to replicate this model in other towns in Addison County and beyond. So if you'd like any further information, there's our website, an email address, Facebook, and a phone number. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks.
Great. Thank you, Rich. Next up is Brad Long from Efficiency Vermont. Some of you may know that Vermont was the first and might still be the only state that has an energy efficiency utility. They're regulated by the state just as other utilities are, or maybe not just as, but in similar fashions. But they've been around now for 25 years, something like that. So I'll invite Brad to take the mic for a few minutes and tell us about Efficiency Vermont.
Thank you, Steve, and thanks everybody. This is some really great stuff everybody's talking about, a lot of encouraging topics, and good to see all this collaboration. Cool stuff. I'm going to share my screen. Let's see here. Okay. Hope everybody can see my screen there.
Yes, it's good.
This is just a little bit on our work in Addison County. I will say that some of the work in Addison County mirrors some of the work we see throughout the state. That said, I have some examples to share with folks tonight. I am a community engagement manager, so I work in 4 different counties throughout the state: Washington, Addison, Lamoille, and Rutland County. Just for clarification, we are a statewide energy efficiency utility. We've been doing this, I think we're in year 22 now. 22, 23. Our goal is to reduce the cost of energy for all Vermonters, and we serve every ratepayer in the state, families, businesses, and institutions to understand their energy use and make better use of their energy use. That's two pieces there. typically, Efficiency Vermont's work, because we're involved with so many different parts of our community and our society, we like to bring a lot of folks together as much as possible. So our electric utilities, select credit unions, weatherization agencies, a network of contractors, and your local retail establishments usually all work together in some way, shape, or form to bring these services and educational opportunities to people. This is a little bit about Addison County engagement for 2017 through 2019. I'll say overall, we see engagement with our programs and services is trending upwards in Addison County. About 1,947 business projects resulting in about 16 million kilowatt hours of electrical savings and 9,000 MMBTU of thermal savings. In terms of growth trends there, we're seeing a lot more small business outreach and participation in our programs, particularly our energy walkthroughs, and a lot of cold climate heat pump installation. On the residential side, over that 3-year period, we saw a little shy of 4,200 projects, resulting in about 3.9 million kilowatt hours of electrical savings and about 40,000 MMBTU savings. Growth trends, we saw a lot of wood heat installations in 2019, a lot of cold climate heat pump installations and weatherization projects. And a project can range from everything from full-on building weatherization to retrofitting LED light bulbs, just for clarity and transparency there. Here's a quick success story, customer story, Cabot Creamery. They have enrolled in our continuous energy improvement program. And it's just as the name implies, that we are constantly working with Cabot to find ways to streamline their operations and their energy use. As an example, compressed air leak surveys resulting in $50,000 a year in electric savings. That's pretty big because most air compressors are in the 10% efficiency range. So every bit of air that gets made by an air compressor, we want to capitalize on it and use it, not have it leak out. Variable frequency drives on pumps resulting in $86,000 a year in electric savings, and LED lighting upgrades, $25,000 a year in electric savings. That's an example of a big commercial and industrial account. But we do have incentives and services that are designed to help all Vermonters, residential incentives, commercial, agricultural, renovation and construction, weatherization, and industrial and specialized equipment. I am working with the agricultural group, aside from some of my community work, to reach out to Vermont farmers. So if there's any farming organizations that are interested in some of our incentives and services, please let me know. I'm happy to speak with them. I encourage them to reach out to me, and I'm doing my best to reach out to them as well. I've got a list of over 400 I'm trying to move through. How to access these services? Honestly, it's our website or give us a call. You know, I hear from folks occasionally that are hoping for an incentive, and that incentive is long gone, and they've already made the purchase. Call us ahead of time, and we'll see what we can do to help folks out ahead of any kind of purchases or any kind of work that you might be planning on doing. And then this is a great way to stay up to date with us. We have a new partner out there, or a new newsletter out there. It's our partner newsletter, and it focuses on communities. It focuses on organizations just like this. It's our way of communicating on a more intimate level with communities, and not so much businesses and other larger institutions, but really more on the home level. And I'm here for any questions. Happy to speak with anybody about anything Efficiency Vermont is doing or any collaborative efforts. Happy to be involved and learn with the rest of us. So I'm going to stop sharing, and thank you everybody for your time here today.
Thank you, Brad. Excellent, excellent. All right, we are going to our last guest speaker. Is going to be Andrew LaRoe from the Addison County Regional Planning Commission. And Andrew, you should now be able to unmute yourself.
Great, thanks very much. I'm also going to share a screen if that's all right. We'll see if I can navigate it real quick.
Looking good.
All right, thanks for everybody that's already gone. I have also worked with a number of you, and this will be familiar to a number of folks, but hopefully it'll be new to some people. And so it's just a kind of a quick overview of what Addison County Regional Planning Commission is doing. Many of you have been in and out of our offices or in our Zoom meetings, and we look forward to seeing you in person again someday. So we are the Regional Planning Commission. We cover 21 of the 23 different communities in Addison County. So it doesn't include the far eastern ones on the other side of the mountain. But we do a number of things that are related to the climate and have different groups working in different ways. Primarily, we have a regional plan, which has an energy subsection that was updated in 2018. And I'll go into that a little more detail. But we also have a lot of elements that are related to climate in other ways. Thank you to Laura and Sally and the folks that touched on all of the other elements of our economy and daily life that are related to the climate, including transportation and housing. We also work on natural resources like wildlife and forestry. And basically every section of our plan touches on the climate in one way or another, and we're updating those to reflect that. We also work with member communities in the region to create and update their town plans. And recently that's included enhanced energy plans, which I'll talk about a little bit more. And we also participate in the state comprehensive energy plan, which is starting, I think, this year and will be wrapping up next year. And after that happens, we may revise the energy section of the regional plan. And then that's kind of all on the planning side. We also work a fair amount on implementation of different projects. We work in review for Section 248. We also partner with folks, several of whom are on this call, including Vermont Energy Investment Corporation, or BEIC, and Efficiency Vermont, on implementing some of those clean energy projects. And then I've worked with a number of you in different contexts through either energy committees or SEAC or Acorn Energy, or all of the above. And I appreciate all of your excellent work. So for those of you that aren't familiar with the regional plan, it complies with Act 174 to meet the 90 by 50 goals. I'm going to kind of speed through this, but we do have a website where the energy plan is actually located, so you can check it out. It has some specific strategies for achieving those goals. And like I said, it was adopted in 2018. So it includes basically an overview for the entire region. Some of those that are being built upon by the work of SEAC in terms of energy consumption, and how much we need to basically reduce our energy consumption, and what the projection of fuel sources is estimated to look like. So this is sort of a quick graph to look at that sort of overview and new mix of fuels that we're expecting by 2050. And many of you are familiar with sort of the daunting challenge of what it's going to look like. This is, I would say, a fairly conservative estimate of needing to weatherize at least 50% of residential households and commercial establishments. Brad mentioned that we're working towards those heat pumps and efficient wood systems. We've got a ways to go, 7,000 or so new heat pumps and at least 600 efficient wood heat systems, and probably a lot more than that. Increasing electrical efficiency and conservation. And then obviously transportation is going to be a huge part of that as well. We also set renewable energy generation targets for 2025, 2035, and 2050, and have done mapping. And we work with towns to sort of identify those areas for preferred areas of generation. Primarily that's through our enhanced energy plans, which allow communities to receive substantial deference from the Public Utilities Commission.
Andrew, one more minute.
Okay, thanks. I'm hustling through. Thank you, Richard.
Yeah, I can see.
And then we also try to walk the walk as much as we can. So a number of us walk or share rides into work. We recently updated our electric vehicle charging station. So we now have four ports in the area behind our offices, which is conveniently behind the co-op. And those are offered at fair market rates. And we try to drive our hybrid Prius as often as possible. So if you have questions or requests, feel free to contact either myself or Adam Muji, who is on this call, and check out our website. We are soon to update it. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Adam. And thank you, everyone. We're going to hand this over to Richard Hopkins here, who's going to talk a little bit, just briefly with us about one of our major next projects that SEAC is looking at. And as he's getting ready to do that, again, just please, several of you have started posing questions in the chat box, please feel free to go ahead and do that. And looks like we will still have maybe 10 minutes for some questions. Go ahead, Richard.
So hi, everybody. As your timekeeper, I want to thank everybody for being so diligent about staying within 5 minutes. I know it's really a challenge to do that. So my name is Richard Hopkins. I'm a retired public health worker and epidemiologist, and I view climate change as the biggest public health threat of our time. Yeah, even bigger than COVID. It's the biggest threat of our time. I'm here to talk to you on behalf of the board, the SEAC board, about our plans for developing a climate action plan for our county, Addison County. We believe that effective action for climate change will happen as innumerable individuals and organizations take concrete steps to make changes in behaviors and systems. We believe that there is now a critical mass of people in our county who want to see such change. And I just saw a whole bunch of those people on this call. With a community plan, we can agree among ourselves on what we each are going to do as our part of a community transformation. No one's going to tell you what you must do. This is all of us together, dividing up the work to the best of our abilities. The eventual plan could have quite a large number of actions, each of which has a target completion date. It has a way to measure progress or completion, and a designated champion who agrees to do everything they can to make that action succeed. We expect there will be some actions that we generally agree could make a difference, but for whom we can't find a champion right now, and those won't be part of our initial action plan. We expect that some of the actions in the plan will be visible on the ground locally, and that some of the actions will require advocacy work at the state or national level before they can be fully implemented locally. The total of these actions should make a measurable difference to the total amount of fossil fuel burned or methane released in our county, and we intend to measure our progress ultimately by monitoring those amounts. The bigger the difference, the better, of course. That's my granddaughter's trying to initiate a FaceTime call. Sorry about that. So the bigger the difference, the better, of course. In this COVID era, we are not going to be having community meetings as we might have done in the past. Today's roundtable is more like what we'll be doing, and these roundtables will continue. SEAC will convene a smallish core planning group, maybe 10 or 12 people. They will develop an outline of a plan. They will talk one-on-one to dozens of actors in the community. We're thinking that we'll include activists like yourselves, of course, and also people who might not attend a community meeting about climate change. Fuel dealers, people who sell cars and powered equipment, farmers, landlords, HVAC contractors, manufacturing plant managers, healthcare, social service, and education leaders, and so on. In these conversations, we will solicit ideas about actions that they and we can take in our community towards preventing climate change, and also about barriers to such actions, barriers that could be addressed locally or through advocacy. The planning group will refine a draft plan based on this extensive community input. They will seek broad community input on the draft plan. They will finalize the plan, and then they will monitor progress annually for each of the actions in the plan, as well as monitoring the community-wide greenhouse gas emissions. We'll be assisted in some of this work by a Minnesota-based consultant company called Pale Blue Dot, who have already helped about 50 communities through a process like this. Ted Redmond, one of the co-founders of that company, is on this call, and he may decide before this is over to reveal himself and let us see him and not just his name. But welcome, Ted. We're so glad you were able to come today. We hope that at least some of you who presented today or who listened to the presentations will want to join SEAC in this year-long effort, though we know that that won't be true for all of you. There are lots of roles to fill, large and small. We look forward to getting to work. We thank you very much for coming today and for taking part.
Great. Thank you, Richard. Thanks everyone again. So we do have a few minutes for questions. And I'll turn this over in just a second to Diane to see if she's been gathering several topics as they've been going along here. Before I do that, I just want to post again in the chat box. All right, so now not everyone is going to have a chance to speak today. That's become clear to you. So we created this Google form, and Greg just posted it in the chat. Thank you, Greg. So please take a moment, open it up before we close the meeting here. We'll also send it out in an email to you, assuming we have your email. If we don't, throw that in the chat real quick, and we'll make sure we send out this link. It gives you an opportunity to tell us more about your work if you haven't been able to speak today, and also indicates how you might like to be engaged with us over the course of the next year or so. And this just a general area for comments and any reactions you have to this roundtable, and any thoughts you might have about future roundtables. So please do take a moment to click over to that survey at some point, either today or soon. We'll send that out. So Diane, what do we have for topics?
Great, thanks Steve, thanks to all the presenters, and thanks to all of our participants as well. Several of the topics I think Richard might have just addressed with his detailing of the climate action planning process and our work with Help Blue Dot as a consultant in that endeavor, but the questions were along the lines of what SEAC will be doing to bring in other folks to this big tent to get them engaged in offering their solutions and energy. So I don't know if any of the board members want to further comment on that, or perhaps Richard's comments address those types of questions.
Not sure exactly, Diane, what folks are asking. I've missed it.
The question was, what will SEAC be doing to bring in other folks to the big tent to get them engaged and offering their solutions and time and energy to this climate action planning process?
Great. So more of these roundtables, and maybe Greg wants to jump in. You want to take it over from here, Greg? I've done a lot of talking. Why don't you jump in? You need to unmute yourself, though. Try to, now you can maybe, can you unmute yourself now?
There we go. Yeah, I was trying. It's two items. There is the survey form that Steve mentioned. The link is in chat. It's just a couple things up from the bottom of the chat. That's a great way to let us know how you might want to be involved or what more information you need. And secondly, we've started a new listserv. The first item on the listserv is all the speakers today with their contact info and bios. So we hope you will jump in on the listserv. It's set up as a summary, so you won't be getting hit with a ton of emails. Survey and listserv would be a great way to stay more involved and help us understand what your concerns are.
We will have future roundtables too, and we would intend to structure them differently than today. More opportunity for discussion and conversation, probably breakout groups and such. I expect at least one or two of those will also intersect with the planning work and process that Richard described.
So let me just say a word or two about that. You know, those of us on the SEAC board, we've been on a crash course to try to educate ourselves about agriculture, about farming and dairy farming especially. And we know a lot more than we used to, but we don't know all there is to know by any means. We also don't know about the business that landlords are in any detail. We don't know about the problems and challenges and opportunities that gasoline and diesel retailers have, or that people running car dealerships have. We have a lot to learn about those things, and our intent is to build into our community action plan process a series of one-on-one meetings with leaders in those fields to try to understand better what they see as the opportunities and the challenges and the barriers, so that we can have a genuine community-based plan that actually is broadly based in all sectors of the community.
We had one specific question for our international guest, who we appreciate staying on so late in the evening where you are, but we're talking about bringing together so many different stakeholders and initiatives through this process. And the question was, how were you at Vistorca able to pull together so many different initiatives together under one central office? And did that approach work well for your community? So that was a question for Gundamore.
Yes, he's got it.
Yes, hi again. I think it's not very easy to explain maybe, but I think one fact is that it's a small community we have here, and but having said that, it's the largest community in North Iceland. So we're almost 20,000, but I will meet the mayor in a birthday party. So we have access to people just through how small the town is. We have the hot tubs, we go to the swimming pools, we meet them everywhere. So we have access to the people that are making the decisions. Also, one factor is that we are, even though we're not members of EU, the European Union, we are members, we adopt a lot of the laws from the EU. So we kind of follow the track. But I think we've been quite, of course, we are a Nordic country, so that goes without saying that we have a lot of the same principles as the Scandinavian countries, Norway, Sweden, and Finland, and Denmark. And so I think, yeah, we have a lot of connection with the private companies and the public companies. So, for example, the businesses that started 10 years ago, they were set up both by the fishing companies, the meat producers, and the municipalities here in the area. So they kind of own the factories together. I hope that answers the question.
Great, thank you.
Maybe just one more if we have, Diane.
Yeah, it was more of a maybe a big question to end on, but it was a general call for the audience or for board members to reflect on how we feel about 2050 as the time goal for any climate change positive action.
Or I suppose any year for that matter. Well, that could be a long conversation. So obviously we don't have a lot of time, but I think part of what, sometimes we choose round numbers for goals for years and things. So I think in that sense, it makes sense. But I think we also follow the lead of international groups and such as the International Panel on Climate Change, and the goals and directions they give us about what needs to happen by when are usually targeted to those same sorts of round numbers. So that's why you hear people talk about 2025 and 2030 in the shorter runs, and then 2050, because that's what a lot of the international and national groups have focused their attention on.
I want to compliment the Middlebury Town Select Board and the staff of the town of Middlebury for adopting a goal of 80% reduction in CO2 production over the next 10 years. I mean, I think it's good in itself, but I think it's also good as a model for other enterprises and organizations in our county to have such a model for them to be able to follow.
All right, well, I'm going, as much as I'm going to just assume those of you that have been with us for 2 hours have had enough. And but I'm going to thank you also, and thank you for your work. Those of you that haven't had a chance to tell us about it, please do open that Google form and tell us more about it there. We will be compiling this information, and we see that as one of the roles we take over time is to be a convener, facilitator, source of coordinating work and information around climate in Addison County. So please do take a moment to do that, and we will be in touch with you as our work moves forward. And any board member like to make any other quick comments before we sign off?
Thanks.
Great. Thanks, everybody.